Blue Stool 45, Mike Kelly.
So I want to tell you a story about a time I changed my mind. It was election day 2016, and I was walking out of a meeting in the library. Near the entrance, I saw a table where a group of students were holding a mock election. To vote, you put in a blue ticket if you wanted Hillary, red ticket in a different bucket if you wanted Trump. And to my surprise, the buckets were about 50-50 that day. And that was in stark contrast to the discourse that was permeating my class that semester. My courses, like most of the American public conversations at the time, held the idea that there was no way that Trump could win. We were somehow better and smarter than that, said the articulate left-leaning voices that tended to dominate the class. But sure enough, 12 hours later, the election returns echoed our campus straw poll and changed my ideas about our campus and the classroom climate that I was trying to create. Let me explain. As a college professor who has long held that if hard, contentious conversations couldn't happen in the classroom, they couldn't happen anywhere. I realized that there was something about the structure of my class where people who would vote for Trump couldn't or didn't want to say it in the classroom, and instead took to 4chan in the ballot box to say the things they couldn't in an academic setting. I needed to do a better job of making that search for truth an activity that everybody felt equally comfortable participating in. After all, that search for truth, wherever it leads us, is what Thomas Jefferson reminds us that higher education is authentically about. What's true is debatable, but within an academic context, there are some facts that are not. It's a fact that in 2016, some people voted for Trump because they felt tired of being talked down to by people like me. That they felt deeply alienated from the institutions that were supposed to help us see the truth better. As a representative of one of those institutions, I could do better at my job. Hang on for a second. You may think it's weird that this blue stool is about a third of the way over and I'm standing up here making a case for our classrooms to be safer spaces for Trump supporters to express their views. I am, but here's another fact related to the search for truth. From the perspective of at least 3 different academic disciplines, there are more than 2 genders. Biology, anthropology, and gender studies have documented this through peer-reviewed research, and it's not a debatable subject in an academic setting. While these 2 facts may seem disconnected from one another, they are actually inextricably linked because, well, they're both facts which are relevant to the search for truth and authenticity that we need if we're ever going to move past the conversations that we've been having over the past 3 weeks. The response to the Republican Club's event titled "There Are Only 2 Genders, Change My Mind" has been institutionally framed as a matter of freedom of expression versus the sensibilities of our campus. As a professor and a believer in what higher education can do for the public good, I think this framing is missing an integral piece. The idea that some things aren't questions appropriate for a college campus. As Daniel Patrick Moynihan said, "You are entitled to your own opinions, but you are not entitled to your own facts." For people who have spent their whole lives studying gender and culture and science, the idea that there are not multiple ways gender as a social and biological construct takes shape isn't a differing of opinion, it's an ignoring of a fact that further marginalizes members of our community who have already had a tough societal lot. Yes, freedom of expression does allow for hurtful speech, but as a side of higher education, we also have a position of power where we can say, actually, no, this isn't going to fly. It's not going to fly here because it's not based on anything that's academically rooted in fact. For a long time, Champlain has used its professionally focused identity to skirt issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. While we say all the right things about how committed we are to DEI work, there are a number of students, faculty, and staff on our campus who rightfully think that this is all high-gussy lip service to an ideal that we espouse but don't live up to. They're correct because we haven't wanted to grapple with the fact that the 2 ideals permeating our college's strategic framework are often fundamentally at odds with one another. We haven't wanted to contend with the fact that the things that make our institutions racist, sexist, and transphobic are built into the DNA of white-collar American life. We have somehow convinced ourselves that individually being on the right side of inclusion is enough, and that we don't have to take a stand when it comes to indicting the systems that our students will enter once they graduate. Today, I'm calling upon our college to reckon with the idea that what it means to be a professional in the 21st century requires more than simply leaving your identity at the door in pursuit of an organization's strategic goals. Because in addition to being a professionally focused school, we are also a college, and the truths and facts that higher education can help us see are more than teaching a student to code Python or read a balance sheet. Here's the thing. Creating a space for people across the political spectrum to feel comfortable talking is absolutely consistent with the ambitions of professionalism. Systemic truths are a point of contention worthy of discussion in an academic setting as well as in a professional one. So is calling bullshit on those who cause harm to other people when their worldview is predicated on ignoring matters of settled academic fact. So when, as an institution, we respond to incidents like this one, by inviting students to consider whether and how they show up at these events, and they essentially say, look, all I was trying to do was get a sandwich and I got my identity questioned, we miss an opportunity to take a stand that's consistent with what we say we want to do with DEI work and set our students up to acquiesce to the status quo instead of changing it. Please change my mind. Show how we can listen with authenticity to one another as opposed to listening to win an argument. Please change my mind. Make it so that the only notable alumni on our Wikipedia page isn't a thinly veiled white supremacist who happens to be good at arguing with people. Please change my mind. Please make institutional communications resonate with a degree of honesty that treats DEI work like an opportunity to enrich us as opposed to a problem to be dealt with. Please change my mind. Show the world how our college can become a beacon of what professionalism in the 21st century looks like. Please change my mind and make us the distinctive brand of higher education that we always say we are. Thank you.